Hi everybody, here's Tuesday's maths lesson. On screen you can see the starter task. I'm going to read it out. Once I finish reading, pause the video. You will definitely need to do some workings today. See if you can work out the solution. On Monday, Tim bought a guitar for £8. On Tuesday, he sold it for £22. On Wednesday, he bought it back for £30. On Thursday, he needed money for a football match, so again he sold his guitar, this time for £43. Overall, did Tim make or lose money? So you'll need to pause the video. Maybe you'll do a number line, maybe you'll do jottings, see how you get on. Right, I'm now going to reveal a solution, so pause if you're still working. I did little jottings for mine, and I also did some number lines to help me work out different parts of the problem. So I started off on Monday, so I put negative £8 because he gave away £8. Then I put plus £22 because he sold it, so it's plus because he was given money, so his bank balance has gone up. That meant that his bank balance rose to £14, so positive. Then Wednesday, I put negative £30 because he gave £30 away to buy it. That meant that his bank balance dropped to negative £16. Now Thursday he was really lucky. He sold the guitar for quite a lot of money. So I put plus £43 because he was given that money, and that meant that his bank balance actually rose to positive £27. So overall, he made money. He did well. What a busy week. A lucky week for Tim. Let me know how you got on afterwards. Now, I thought I'd give you a sneak preview to what we will be doing tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll be starting percentages. I just thought I'd share that with you because some of you might be thinking, oh, not more decimals. Well, I hope you're not thinking that because I love all areas of maths, particularly fractions, decimals, percentages. I think these are great skills to have for real life, particularly shopping. I love shopping, and you'll be pleased to know that your decimal and fraction knowledge will really help you when you learn about percentages. Lots of people like learning about percentages. Not really sure why. I think, well, maybe when you go shopping, you're more likely to see like 50% off or 25% off or 10% off on the price tag. So if you are great at knowing your equivalence facts, then you'll find it really easy to shop and you will understand how much money you're saving before you get to the till, which is always a bonus. So that's what we'll be doing tomorrow. Today we've got one more day on decimals, but as I said before, we will still be using our decimal knowledge when we move on to percentages. Here's the key fact chart, which we've been looking at for the past, I think, about 8 days now. Hopefully you are starting to remember more and more of the facts. We will be using our facts today to help us to be efficient when calculating. Yesterday I showed you these 4 questions and I asked you which ones do you think you could solve? And I did reveal that actually all of these questions mean the same thing. Now, often in school, lots of people would, for 0.25 times 476, they would do long multiplication. And that causes a lot of problems and wastes a lot of time. So it's really important today that you understand that decimal and fraction equivalence facts can be helpful in making you more efficient at calculating and can save you a lot of time. Okay, 476 divided by 4, lots of you would do this method. Do you remember this? Some people call it the bus stop method. I don't really like to call it that because I don't think it looks anything like a bus stop, but you never know. Have a go. Can you remember how to do that method? Pause the video and just see if you can remember. Okay, I'm now going to reveal my working, so if you're still having a go, press pause. Do you remember that we'd say, how many groups of 4 can you make out of 4? And you write 1. How many groups of 4 can you make out of 7? 1 group, 3 left over, so I pass the leftovers next door. How many groups of 4 can you make out of 36? 9, no remainder, so it's a whole answer of 119. Okay, doing 476 divided by 4 is the same as finding 1/4 of 476. Because if you remember, when we find a fraction of a number, we divide by the bottom, divide by the denominator, and multiply by the numerator. So multiplying by 1 we don't need to do because it stays the same, we just want 1. So wonder which one of those, well, those two are the same. And then some people get caught out by this question in the SATs and other tests in secondary school. Okay, remembering that multiply is the same as the word of is really helpful, because some people think they can't do this question when it's just the same. And the bottom one, as I mentioned before, I think that's over here. No, it's not. Okay, on screen you can see, look how long it takes to solve this long multiplication problem. Okay, there's more likely for an error to occur because there's so many steps, and I bet it would take at least 5 times as long. So that's why today, hopefully, you'll start to realise that using your equivalence facts is going to really help you. Okay, 68 multiplied by 0.5. How do you think you will solve this problem? Think about the fraction equivalent of 0.5. Can you work out the answer? Pause the video, have a go. Right, I'm now going to reveal. So, some people would do this straight away. Oh my goodness, I need to do long multiplication. Quickly, start panicking, getting a little bit of a mess. I'm hoping that you thought of your fraction decimal equivalence facts. Okay, remember, multiply means what word? Of. 0.5 is the same as a half. So this question's actually really straightforward. All you need to do is 1/2 of 68. Can you do that? A half, finding a half of a number is the same as dividing by 2. So all you need to do is 68 divided by 2. Okay, so it looks like this. You're separating 68 into 2 equal parts. So the answer is 34. Did you get that right? Now I'd like you to write down the calculations and solve these calculations. So just remember, multiplying by 0.5 is the same as finding a half of the amount. It doesn't matter which way round, so if it's decimal first, then the whole number, it doesn't matter, because multiplication is commutative. It can be either way round, it still means the same thing. Like if I said 3 multiplied by 4, you'd say 12. And if I said 4 multiplied by 3, you'd still say 12. So it doesn't matter. The first one, so 0.5 multiplied by 18, is the same as half of 18. Finding half of a number is the same as dividing by 2. See if you can solve these 4 problems. Okay, I'm now going to reveal the answers, so pause the video if you're still working. Okay, so these look quite tricky when you don't remember, if you forget about half of. These can be tricky, and I bet some adults would say, no, sorry, I can't work that out, I need a calculator. Okay, but it's simple. You're just finding half. Did you get these right? Mark your work. Next, 0.2 multiplied by 75. Now, think about a fraction equivalent to 0.2. I can think of 2 straight away in my head. I wonder if you're thinking of the same. Let's try and simplify this problem. Okay, we're not going to do this method. This method is going to waste time and is inefficient. Which fraction is equivalent to 0.2? I chose 1/5. That's the simplified version. Maybe you thought of 2/10 as well. Which word is the same as multiply? Of. So when you're asked to do 0.2 multiplied by 75, you're actually just finding 1/5 of the number, or 2/10 of the amount. Okay, remember we're good at finding fractions of a quantity. We've practiced it lots. We divide by the bottom and multiply by the top. So 75 is the whole, that's why it's got the full bar. We divide it into 5 equal parts. Now some people would know that fact straight away because they can do mental calculation. Some people would just check by doing this method. Okay, it's fine to do this method to check. If you're not confident, it's best to check. So 75 divided by 5 is 15. So it's 15, 15, 15, 15, 15. We only want one of the parts. So 0.2 multiplied by 75 is 15. Okay, that problem looks tricky. It's actually straightforward if you know your equivalence facts. You have a go at these 3 questions. Okay, remember that 0.2 is equivalent to 1/5 or 2/10. And I think at the top I have got the first one set up for you. So if you're happy, pause the video and go for it straight away. If you'd like a little bit of help, then I'm going to reveal it now. Okay, so for the first one, I know that 0.2 is the same as 1/5. I know that multiply is the same as of. So to work out the answer to that question, I'm going to do 1/5 of 30. I'm going to do 30 divided by 5 multiplied by 1, and that's going to give me the answer. Okay, I'm dividing 30 into 5 equal parts. Pause the video and see if you can work it out. Right, I'm now going to reveal the answers. How did you get on? Okay, hopefully you didn't find it too bad. Just remember 0.2 is the same as 1/5 or 2/10. It's quite impressive that you can do 95 multiplied by 0.2. It sounds hard. Here are some more questions on screen now for you to practice. Each time you see a decimal, think about what is the equivalent fraction. Okay, you should know the equivalent fractions for each of the decimals that are on screen. Remember, multiply means of. So each of these questions could look like something of 6. Okay, a fraction of 6. Now, if you're feeling confident, pause the video and have a go. If you'd like me to put the fraction and decimal equivalences at the top to help you, I'm going to move the blue box and I'm going to reveal them. So you need to decide now, do you need the little bit of extra help, or are you going to have a go straight away on your own? Okay, I'm now going to reveal the helpful box. Oh, well, let me move it. Right, so I know that 0.25 is a quarter. So for the first one, I'm going to do 1/4 of 6. And remember, a great way to find a quarter is to halve and halve again. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. Okay, for the next one, 0.75 is the same as 3/4. So you're going to do 3/4 of 396. So write that down. First you'll divide by 4. You're going to get an answer. Then you're going to multiply that answer by 3. Okay, have a go. I'm sure you can do this. Right, this is one of the questions that we've had before, so I'm just going to show you my method to check. I'm not going to do this for all the questions, but I'm just going to show you this one, and you can see if you've done it right. 0.8 is the same as 4/5 or 8/10. Well, the both of them. Multiply is the same as of. I chose to do 4/5 of 455. I did 455 divided by 5, because that's the denominator. I got 91. So there's 91 in each of the equal parts. The numerator is 4. So I highlighted 4. 91 multiplied by 4 is 364. So that's my answer. Do you agree with me? Okay, look how we've avoided doing this. This is much simpler in my opinion than doing long multiplication. This is more likely to have, well, you're more likely to have an error doing this method. Here are the rest of the answers. Mark your own work. If you need any more help, you can always ask me afterwards on Teams. Okay? Now, your decimal and fraction equivalence knowledge can also be helpful in real life. These are also questions which are quite common in tests, okay? They're common in primary school tests and secondary school tests. Okay, we can make them simpler using our equivalence knowledge. Let's look at the first one. Mo makes 120 glasses of juice for the school fair. He needs 0.25 litres of juice for each glass. How much juice does Mo need altogether? Okay, so I think that Mo needs 120 lots of 0.25. Which operation represents lots of? I'm hoping you said multiply. So for that question, to work out the answer, I would need to do 120 multiplied by 0.25. You now need to pause the video and read the other 3 questions. All I want you to do for now is to write down the calculations that you're going to need to do to work out the answers. Don't work out the answers yet. Let's check you've got the right calculations first. Pause the video and write down the 3 calculations. Okay, I'm now going to reveal. So this one, Jake needs 90 lots of 0.2. For this one, 24 lots of 0.75. For the final one, a little bit different. It's 0.5 lots of 5, because there's 5 mornings a week. And then you need to also multiply it by 4 again. If you read to the end, you need to know it's 4 weeks. So it's actually 0.5 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 4. Let's now go for the next step. So now we're going to turn these calculations, which look a bit tricky, we're going to turn them into fractions of quantities, because that will make it easier. So remember, the first one is going to be, what fraction is equivalent to 0.25? I'm really hoping you said a quarter. So the first one, we're going to do this one together, okay, will be 1/4 of 120. So you need to write that down. 1/4 of 120. See if you can complete the other 3. We're not working out the answers yet, we're just writing down the fraction equivalents, because it's going to look easier then. So think about what fraction is equivalent to 0.2. So something of 90. Pause the video, complete what I've just asked you to do. Right, I'm now going to reveal, so press pause if you've not finished. So you can see you've marked your work so far. So 0.2 is the same as 1/5. You could have also put 2/10. That's fine, you'll get the same answer at the end. 3/4 of 24, 1/2 of 20. I put 20 because I multiplied 5 and 4 together, because that means that I'm looking at how much swimming has taken place over 20 days. Okay, 4 weeks with 5 days in each would be 20. So look, 0.5 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 4, that sounds really complicated. I'm sure lots of you would have said, no, sorry, can't do that. Look, it just means half of 20, which I'm sure you can do. So this knowledge is helping you out. Look at this one, 0.2 times 90. Oh, I don't like that. 1/5 of 90? Doesn't sound too bad. Now, I'd like you to pause the video in a moment and see if you can work out the answers. Please remember to include the units at the end. So, for example, in the first one, what's the unit of measure that we're talking about? How much juice? Litres. So your answer will have an L at the end for litres, a capital L. Now, the first one we can do together. So I said before, 120 multiplied by 0.25 is the same as finding 1/4 of 120. So you do 120 divided by 4, which is 30. And then I didn't need to write this down, but just to prove it, so then you do 30 multiplied by 1, which is still 30. So the answer is 30 litres. Pause the video and see if you can do the rest, and I will reveal the answer on the screen afterwards. Okay, so this one is the same as 1/5 of 90. So all I'm going to do is 90 divided by 5. I chose to do this method, so how many groups of 5 can I make out of 9? 1, 4 left over. How many groups of 5 can I make out of 40? 8. 18 metres. And the final two, 3/4 of 24, so 24 divided by 4 is 6. 6 times 3, 18 kilograms, that's the answer. Half of 20, 10 kilometres. Now, well done if you've got to the end of this lesson. Some quite tricky stuff, but hopefully you're starting to get the hang of it, and you're starting to realise that knowing your fraction and decimal equivalence facts is really helpful for lots of areas of maths. It's really helpful for real life. So keep practicing, and tomorrow we'll continue to apply our knowledge to percentages. Well done, and please share your work.